should all be furious. We should all be afraid of this.
This is the FBI. You have a federal warrant for this address. Keep your hands up and follow orders. This is the FBI. We have a warrant.
They handcuffed me and my wife out here. They wanted me to sit on the curb while they were carrying this out, something that I refused to do. They wanted my wife to sit on the curb out here, that she refused to do.
As I was coming out, this big old drone met me.
The only revolutionary organization that's done something here on the ground practically for African people is the one that's come under attack. Institution that offers a community radio station, a newspaper, a commercial kitchen, an Aquaba Hall rental space, and community office for our organizers. That was the building that has come under attack.
You need a breach? What do you need? Need one. I don't know. Oh, it's all better than money. No, thank you.
We will build a movement of white people that says hands off the Uhuru movement.
They see in the African People's Socialist Party a vanguard for the struggle for the liberation of our people. They see that because not just what we do here in the United States, but because we had the temerity to do like Garvey, to do like Malcolm X, and take the struggle of black people around the world.
Uhuru comrades, Uhuru friends all around the world. I want to welcome everybody to this very special webinar brought to you by the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Fightback Coalition. My name is Mwezi Odom, and I'm a member of the African People's Socialist Party and have the wonderful responsibility to lead the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa Fightback under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, representing the Fightback in defense of the Uhuru 3, Chairman Omali Yeshitela, Penny Hess, Chairwoman Penny Hess, and Chair Jesse Neville, members of the Uhuru movement and leaders of the African Revolution and the Solidarity Front behind the worldwide African Revolution, which will be victorious in our lifetime. I want to welcome everybody for being here on today. Many of you are here because you have been following this fight back since 2022, when, as you saw in that video, the African People's Socialist Party was violently attacked by the FBI, for baseless charges, which we will sum up today. And you are also here because you were with us in Atlanta, Georgia, in July, just of last month, to support the Uhuru 3 in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, appealing the guilty, conviction on the Uhuru 3. And so we're going to sum up some of that today. We're very excited to have you all here on today. Again, I want to remind us that we have been in this fight back since 2022. We have some slides that we're going to pull up right now. Actually, we can go ahead and start going through those. The goal of this part of the webinar is just to give everybody a quick update and to remind us of how long is, okay, there we go. There's some feedback there. And to appreciate everybody for being here on today. You can follow us if you do not follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok at Hands Off Uhuru. Hashtag Hands Off Uhuru, hashtag free speech. This is a struggle that affects all of us. And here we are here today to talk about the Uhuru 3 appeal and the ruling set by the Department of Justice. And we're going to talk about what's next. And this is just the first of many different discussions. Next slide, on this topic. So before I move, next slide, I want to salute Chairman Amalia Shatella, who is the leader of the African People's Socialist Party, the founder of the Uhuru movement, the main target of the FBI raids in 2022, and who you will be hearing from today as well as we sum up this, this point in our fight back. I also want to salute Deputy Chair Onozine Shatella, who is the Deputy Chair of the African People's Socialist Party. She is also the architect of the Black Power Blueprint, one of the on-the-ground grassroots work that is being led by the African People's Education and Defense Fund, under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, which is bringing real concrete change to north side of St. Louis, Missouri, where you see, African people living in some of the worst conditions. And so this is, one of the reasons why we were, why we were attacked. And I really want to salute Deputy Chair, who leads the economic development work, because we are really serious about building our ways out of this colonial mode of production, this system of oppression. I want to salute the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, our central committee, comrades from all around the world who are, taking the struggle for the African working class to the people, and really leading some important institutions of the Uhuru movement, which will be part of our goal as we self-govern. So salute to those comrades, and salute to those who have played a significant role in the steering of the Hands Off Uhuru committee. You see some of our members here, and this is just a screenshot of just a few of them. Just as a reminder, again, on July 29, 2022, the Uhuru movement was raided 7 homes and properties in St. Louis, Missouri, and St. Petersburg, Florida. Here are just some pictures, following the raids, because as we remind people, these were pre-dawn raids in the dark. As the chairman and deputy chair were exiting their homes, the comrades were greeted with assault rifles, battering rams, flashbang grenades. And so these are just some images that we were, gathered. And there's much more, but, we immediately put this out in the world. You see there our newspaper that came out the following month, calling it like it is, FBI attacks Uhuru, which means freedom. So FBI was attacking freedom. And here are some images of the comrades who were speaking out. Director Akile in St. Petersburg, Florida, who was there as a press conference following the raids, and Chairman Amalia Shatella, who held the press conference on the front steps of his door following the FBI raids. As we have all, reminded all of us that we were all unindicted co-conspirators following these attacks, and 4 members of our movement were named as unindicted co-conspirators. As you see here, the Chairman Amalia Shatella, Chairwoman Penny Hess, Chair Jesse, and Director Akile, who leads the media and communications for the African People's Socialist Party. We are, again, reminding everybody that it took the FBI 9 months to indict members of the movement, and they indicted 3 members of our movement, Chairman Amalia Shatella. So we say hands off, Chairman Amalia Shatella. We say hands off, Chair Penny Hess, and Hands Off Chair Jesse, who lead the solidarity work, bringing, as we say, Black power in whiteface under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, forwarding the struggle for reparations to African people, to the African working class, all throughout the world. And, this is nothing new in terms of the party's ability and, power to build campaigns, that have, been victorious and that bring the colonial question, to the point. And so here is just an image of, back in the 1970s where the party built a campaign to free Freddie Pitts and Wilbert Lee, who were, death sentenced by an all-white jury for a murder that they did not commit. And thanks to the African People's Socialist Party, both of these, African brothers were pardoned in 1975. And many of you who are here on the call were a part of this next struggle. The parties led the campaign in 1975 to free Desi Woods, also known as Rashida Mahmoud, who was an African woman sentenced to 22 years for killing a white man who tried to rape her with his own gun. This was a worldwide movement that eventually led to the freedom or, freeing Desi Woods in 1982. And we made the call that, it wasn't just, violence against women in general, but this was colonial violence, and that the struggle of Black women is a struggle for all of us. And here is, and I said Rashida Mahmoud, but it's Rashida Mustafa, pardon me. And I want to thank the party, we want to salute the party for the worldwide movement to free Comrade Desi Woods, who again was sentenced to 22 years. And here are some of the, here's an image of one of the first, appearances that she made following, her release. So salute to the party, because we say this because we understand that this is a struggle that we too will win, that we will be victorious, and that this is something that the U.S. government has been trying to attack the African working class, since the inception of this, of this social system. So the Hands Off Uhuru campaign was launched in 2022, just months after. This was one of our first webinars, but on the day of the attacks, we launched the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa campaign, and we're relentless in building a legal team, getting advice from legal experts and legal advocates to help us build a support committee and eventually a legal team that would be, that would help take this out and provide us the type of defense that we needed, knowing that we eventually were probably going to have to be in court. So I want to salute some of the comrades here on the screen here. Comrade Chimarenga, who's a member of the African People's Socialist Party and was also responsible for leading the Legal Defense Support Committee. Want to salute Lauren Reagan with the Civil Liberties Defense Center, and the comrades of the National Lawyers Guild, who played very important roles in terms of advocacy and even providing training on members throughout the movement about what to do when the FBI comes knocking or comes crashing down your door at 5 a.m. And through all this work, we were granted and, built a beautiful and brilliant legal team. So I just want to salute the comrades who are here on this image here and who you'll also be hearing from. I want to salute our brilliant attorneys, Addie Griffin, who represented Chairman Amalia Shatella, Attorney Mutaki Akbar, who represented Chair Jesse Neville, Leonard Goodman, who took on this case pro bono and has still continued to do so, and was representing Comrade Penny Hess, as well as Comrades Angela Rainey, who was working closely and provided such significant contributions to this case. Angela Rainey, who was working with Comrade Leonard, representing Chairwoman Penny Hess, and Tom Inskeep, working alongside Attorney Angela Rainey, Attorney Addie Griffin. And today you'll be hearing from Attorney Angela Rainey, who is one of the Uhuru 3 legal team attorneys, and who played a crucial role in writing the appeal briefs, which eventually took us to the 11th Circuit Court to appeal the bogus conviction. Throughout this call, since the beginning, Chairman Amalia Shatella said from the start, we are not retreating, we are building. And, throughout this program, and if you're tied to the Uhuru movement in any way, you see the amazing work that has been built throughout the past 4 years, including the doula program that started on the day of the raids, and that graduated 14 African women who were trained doulas to be able to provide life-saving treatment to African women who are carrying children, bringing them into this world. you have here as well the opening of the Uhuru Bakery Cafe. This has been a long fought struggle, and we just this past Saturday, August 15th, on the 100th birthday of Marcus Garvey, celebrated the grand opening of the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe, which is there to provide not only healthy food for the African community, but also jobs and career training, and and a safe haven for the African community, which, as we say, the African working class deserves the best. So this is just a brief video, but we also, if you follow us on YouTube, please go check out the opening of the Uhuru Bakery and Cafe. We are very proud of this, and this is just streets up from the Uhuru House. So after these 9 months, the FBI came up with the baseless charges to charge the Uhuru Three as acting as foreign agents of a foreign government, in this case, Russia, and for failing to register with the Attorney General's office. And they also, and that sentence carried a 10-year maximum prison sentence, and also the attempt to charge the Uhuru Three with conspiracy to commit an offense against, the U.S. government, which carried a 5-year sentence. Those who recognize and those who pay attention to history were very clear that this was just another, plot by the U.S. government to, use Russia as a base to attack the Uhuru Three. And as the chairman reminds us, this was, this whole idea about the plot to sow discord, as the chairman reminds us, is that it, part of what we are clear that this attack was also about was not so much about what the Uhuru Three and the African People's Socialist Party have been saying for over 50 years, but it's also about your right to hear it. And it's very clear that when this attack happened, and when, this was in 2022, when, as we remember, the U.S. was, encroaching in this war against Russia. And, the chairman spoke out and called it as it is. And many have come out since then, putting it out and calling out the truth. And so this was a very important time. And again, reminding you, under the Biden administration, at a time when the U.S. government and the U.S. hegemony was in a very critical position, and we, the people, saw right through it. And so we knew from the jump that the U.S. government was, is guilty, and that the Uhuru Three were not guilty of these charges, and that, the real criminals is the U.S. government, is the FBI, is the colonial mode of production, is the colonial state. And so from 2022 to 2026, we put this out there, this analysis rather, and built a fight back, with which many of you are a part of, building this fight back to build the anti-colonial free speech movement, bringing together, organizations and individuals from across the political spectrum to unite with the demand to drop the charges on the Uhuru Three and to defend the right to freedom of speech. We mobilized masses to get them to Tampa, to St. Pete, and we joined the struggles and united with struggles, all the struggles that were happening all around the world, struggles against colonialism, building this anti-colonial free speech movement. We made the call, and united with the call and the decades-long struggle to free Comrade Leonard Peltier. We said not one more year, and we united, and we united with all the other struggles across the globe that were, as the chairman said, this attack on the Uhuru Three was the opening salvo for other attacks on free speech, and we saw that relentlessly throughout the political spectrum. We took this charge to drop the charges on the Uhuru Three, hands off the Uhuru Three, hands off the Black Power movement, to Washington, as we do every year. And in 2023, hundreds of you showed up, not just in DC, but around the world in 7 locations here in the United States, also in all throughout the continent of Africa and in Europe as well. The support for the Uhuru Three has been felt around the world, and we want to salute everybody who has been a part of this struggle since the beginning. And we hope that those of you that are here with us today will also continue to be a part of this. We want to thank you, comrades, deeply for not only just the worldwide support, but the donations. These donations were critical for us to be able to raise the resources needed to, to fight this legal battle, which, as we understand, will be something that we will have to continue to sum up, because we have some, we understand where this case is going and where it needs to go. Over $600,000 raised from thousands of supporters from across the political spectrum. And this is, again, also including the pro bono contributions from Attorney Goodman and Attorney Rainey. We just really want to salute and appreciate all of our comrades. These are many of the comrades who were, played a close role in the Uhuru 3 fight back, helped to get interviews and, take this to their base, making sure that this case was on the minds of everybody. And we understood that this case was not just one that affects us here within the United States, but that the struggle of African people wherever we are in the world is one that is far-reaching. And so we have built a Latin America front of the Hands Off Uhuru, Hands Off Africa fight back to take this struggle for free speech all throughout the Americas. And as you will continue to hear from this aspect of the fight back, we have a lot to report on in terms of how this struggle of free speech is one that must unite the people around the question of anti-colonial free speech. We want to salute our attorneys who filed the motions to dismiss the indictments based on this, violation of the First Amendment. And as we expected, the federal judge dismissed the motion in early 2024, and we understood that the trial date was set. So we mobilized and we fought hard to get everybody, to the court, to pack the courts for the free speech trial of the century. It was a powerful, powerful show of support of comrades that came from all over the country to support. We had, the ability to broadcast much of what was happening and report back. And so this was something that was seen and heard all around the world. And as we understand that this case is one that has set precedent. And what the chairman reminds us is that because the Uhuru 3, because the party fought back, we are able to be at a position where we can, talk about an appeal and talk about a case that will establish case law. And it will establish case law to, in terms of what the government, in terms of the government violating the First Amendment, and that anytime that they charge somebody with acting as a foreign agent simply on the basis of their speech, this case will be referenced. And so we salute the party's, struggle for always fighting back. And because of that, we were victorious in the courtroom, dropping where we were found not guilty of the charge of acting as foreign agents. So the 10-year maximum prison sentence gone, and were found guilty, wrongfully convicted of the 5-year charge of conspiracy to act as a foreign agent. We attended our sentencing, and the judge, after having read 1,600 letters, character letters and people in support of the Uhuru 3, and having to face every time that we were in court, dozens of people who looked like everybody from around the world in that courtroom, was forced to, make the determination, or, had to make the determination, not one day in prison and not one dime for the Uhuru 3, who were facing, again, up to 5 years in prison and about $250,000 in fines. The Uhuru 3 were sentenced to 300 hours of community service, which they completed. Their travel was restricted, which they have, are able to freely travel now, and are no longer on probation. And so all of this, led us to what we understood and what we kept on saying, that it's not over. And we knew that we had to appeal this guilty conviction, which was appealed in June of last year. This appeal brief is available on our website. You can read it. It's a brilliant brief written by attorneys Leonard Goodman and Angela Rainey. And this took us to the oral arguments, which were granted in April of this year by the Department of Justice to, be heard in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in Atlanta. So salute to everybody who came to Atlanta to pack the court for the Uhuru 3. Over 80 people showed up to come pack the courtroom and the overflow room. It was a marvelous and very, motivating support from our base that came from all over the world. And we want to salute all of the comrades, all of the organizations that came, and those of you that were there for us, not just on the day of the appeal, but the events that we had surrounding the appeal. So I'm just going to show some images, and these images will be posted and put up, on our account, so comrades can come back, and there's many more. But this is the night before the appeal hearing. We had an event at Georgia State Law. I really want to salute comrades, who helped to build these events. These are the comrades who were on the ground in Atlanta. I want to salute the National Council of Black Lawyers, who led this, who helped build this event, who catered the lunch, who provided this, wonderful classroom space for us to have this discussion at the Georgia State School of Law. I want to salute Comrade Natu Saito, who is a close member and friend of the movement, and who helped to build, bring all these forces together to have these wonderful two events, as well as Comrade Paulette Dautier, who is a member of the Fightback Coalition and also with the Jericho movement. Comrade Paulette was also very critical in helping to build this and get the word out. Our comrades from the Cuba Solidarity Movement, who were also there. We want to also salute many of the comrades from throughout the Uhuru movement, the Solidarity Front, as well as those who came from from all over the country to be there on the ground to support the Uhuru 3. One of the things that we'll also talk about on today, as I stay on this slide, is we also want to salute, who is not seen pictured here in this photo, but you will see Comrade Ward Churchill, who in a segment just following this presentation, and we will take a moment to salute the Comrade Ward Churchill, who attended, these events in Atlanta, and who, was just a remarkable force and provided us with some very important, words and direction about how we move forward in this struggle. So just really want to salute this event, everybody who came. It was very powerful, comrades. And just to kind of show some more photos, and we're going to come back to that. I want to just show, these are just some of the, when we got there outside of the courtroom, we had a line all the way down the block of forces who were there already waiting. It was, funny to hear those who were outside of the court and the, security guards who were just confused about, like, why are all these people here? Well, they were here to hear about this case. We held, following the, hearing, which was also live cast, broad live casted, and, our media team, I really want to salute our media team who, provided such great leadership on the ground there in Atlanta to help us get this case out to the world and help our supporters who weren't able to be there to hear the case, but also the press conference that helped to sum up, what was happening. So here's Comrade Jainaba, who's a member of the African People's Socialist Party, leads the Southern region, and who is the MC of our One Africa Worldview podcast, was our MC for the press conference, and helped us to sum this up following the call. You'll see her here pictured with the chairman. We have Comrade Belinda Parker Brown with her fist up, Comrade Afia Wangaza, who came to support the Uhuru 3. Really want to salute Comrade Afia as well. And we also heard from our attorneys as well, summing up just right outside the courtroom, a quick report back on what we just heard and what happened. You're going to hear more about the actual, just the brilliance of the case that that attorney Leonard Goodman, who is pictured there on the left with the chairman, that he led in that courthouse. But I just really want to salute our legal team and all those who came to the event. Here's some more photos here. This was the room where we held our event. Just a great show and turnout from our supporters, and just really want to salute the chairman for his brilliant analysis, on this question of free speech. So just kind of scroll through some of the photos of our attorneys. Here are some more photos here. Other comrades, the Professor Mauli, I want to salute that comrade Julian Hill, and other professors and attorneys that came to the events following the appeal and were there to pack the courthouse as well, and the law students who helped put on this event as well. So salute to those comrades. And I want to just also, recognize this photo here with the chairman, deputy chair, Comrade Natsu, and Comrade Ward Churchill. So just really powerful show of support, and salute to the comrades that we found, later on after the appeal, who provided their own media support and media reports on this fight back. Salute to the Orinoco Tribune, Comrade Jesus Rodriguez, and also salute to Comrade Suad Abdel Aziz, who is a volunteer who works with Decolonize Sudan, and who was here on this platform providing us with an update on the Uhuru 3 case, as well as the U.S. Hands Off Cuba Committee, who has been putting out statements, and also was there, sent members as well to come to Atlanta in support of this fight back. So we understand that it is not over. We need to build the people's movement against the Foreign Agents Registration Act and these other conspiracy laws, which are used explicitly, which we understand are explicitly political laws. And so we want to encourage everybody, what you can do in terms of taking action. We are calling on, we need to continue to build the Hands Off Uhuru Fight Back, build this front. If you want to be a part of this movement, if you want to join this work, we encourage you to go to handsoffuhuru.org/volunteer. Let us know in the chat that you want to be a part of this fight back, not just the fight back against the, building the FARA campaign, or the repealing FARA campaign, but also the fight back to take this out to the world. There are many roles and ways where you can be involved in this work. And so without further ado, comrades, I want to appreciate you for being here on today's webinar. And we're going to move our program. And if you know somebody that needs to be here, tell them to go to handsoffuhuru.org/register, send them to our website, call on them to come on to this call. We are also streaming live on YouTube as well as on Facebook as well. And so as we are preparing to shift gears, our next section, we're going to, I'm going to bring up my dear comrade, Vice Chair of the Hands Off Uhuru Fightback Coalition, Comrade Chairwoman Penny Hess, who leads the African People's Solidarity Committee. This comrade has been a part of the Uhuru movement, working under the chairman's leadership for over 50 years, and has just been, relentless, historical figure in the struggle for reparations to African people. And so I just really want to salute you, Chairwoman Penny, for being here, for your leadership. And I know you're going to do a interview style discussion with our attorney, Angela Rainey. So just want to turn it over to you, comrade, and Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you. Thank you, Chairman Wazy. And I just really want to join in saluting Chairman Omali Shatella and Deputy Chair Onizane Shatella, and just the brilliant leadership and forward motion of this movement that is continually building political and economic power in the hands of the African working class, and is honored to be under the leadership of that movement. And I really want, I really want to welcome just comrade and attorney, Angela Rainey. It's just been such a pleasure to work with you, to be able to know you, and just really want to welcome you today. Uhuru, if you, okay, it looks like you're...
I'm on here. I don't know if you can, can you see me?
I can see it.
Okay.
I don't know. We see something. We see something, but I hear your voice.
You see something. Okay. I can't see my view. So I don't know what you're seeing of me. But I don't have
it's a little sort of foggy, I guess you would say. It's a little blurry.
It is blurry. Okay. Well,
there we go. That's better.
Oh, wow.
I still can't see myself, but I don't have childcare tonight, so Phoebe is joining us for a chat tonight. Yeah.
Well, your camera is off now, but anyway, just
that's
do the best you can. Anyway, we can hear you. We can hear you. So
okay, great.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on with us tonight. And we wanted to talk to you about the outcome of this case, the appeal, this incredible appeal. Attorney Leonard Goodman was not able to be with us tonight, but I know that you played a huge role in it. And I want to, first of all, just say a little bit about you, about yourself, and just I support the incredible legal team that we put forward, that we talked about in the PowerPoint, and just say a little bit about you, where you're located, and a few words.
Yeah. So I am located in the southern part of Illinois, down here. I'm pretty close to St. Louis, a couple hours south. So I am also a single mom. This is Phoebe. She's 4 years old. And, I have been practicing law since 2012. And back in 2024, Lynn hired me primarily to work on this case. And it turned out to be one of the best experiences in my career. So that was very exciting. And I since then opened up a private practice in January, and I do all criminal defense, primarily post-conviction work and working on wrongful convictions. But that is the big, the summary of what I've done.
Great. Well, congratulations on opening up your own practice, and that's really glad to hear that. And I know that you'll be going forward, and just the stand that you have taken. So I just want to ask you, first of all, can you lay out a little bit what happened? Tell us about the
Sure.
outcome of this appeal hearing, the status
Yeah.
of the appeal right now, and where we are going.
Yeah, so we had briefed this appeal with several issues. The primary issues being that this was a violation of the First Amendment by prosecuting the Uhuru Three based on their speech alone, which all of this conduct was speech, the same speech that you had been engaged in since the 70s. So that was a primary argument, and we also argued that there was it was evident from the FBI's testimony that no one had knowledge that, necessary, that they were supposed to register if they were talking, even if you did do this was the idea, there was no evidence of knowledge. So those were the two primary arguments that we made. And then all of that had been thoroughly briefed before we went to the appellate court. We argued our positions we had in the brief, and the judges unfortunately were not receptive to that. Lynn did a great job on the argument. He stood his ground even whenever they were giving him a hard time. And I will tell you, as someone that's done several appellate arguments, I wasn't entirely surprised. That is the environment you get a lot, especially in a criminal case, and you're a defense attorney, you expect to come up with against that. But 11th Circuit also has a reputation as, being one of the most conservative, actually the most conservative circuit. So you're never really surprised whenever you're a criminal defendant and you lose in the 11th Circuit. But, it's hard to win these cases. So I was not entirely surprised. And that, is fine with me. I'm excited about going to the Supreme Court, and I think we have, a decent shot. Of course, the way this process works is, well, first we're going to ask the 11th Circuit to rehear our case. We're going to, right now, Lynn and I have been talking about the motion we're filing, and we've been working on that. It's due next week. We'll get that on file and ask that all of the judges on the 11th Circuit hear the case and consider it, because we were just before 3 judges at that hearing. There's several judges in their court. So that's our first step. And, either way, whether we won or lost this appeal, we were going to end up in asking or doing something in the Supreme Court. The opportunity to go to the Supreme Court is, I think it's great. We will file a petition it's called a petition for certiorari, where we're asking the court to hear our issue. We have to convince the court that this is important enough for them to hear. And I think that we have a really good shot at this. They only hear a small fraction of cases that they get requests for a year, but we have some really interesting issues that the courts really haven't considered. The First Amendment issues and these foreign registration statutes. There's a lot of issues there. In this case, where we have pure speech, I'm hopeful that the court will look at that and say this is a real issue. So I'm really hopeful. And, it would have been great if we'd won in the 11th Circuit, but let's go to the Supreme Court. If we win there, we'll have an even bigger impact. So, right now what we're doing is working on that motion for rehearing. The next step would be a petition for certiorari, and we'll ask the Supreme Court to hear the case.
Wow. Well, that is very exciting. And so could you tell us about, talk about, first of all, the team. I know you are part of an incredible team of attorneys that, that we introduced or we talked about with
Yes.
Leonard Goodman, Mutaki Akbar, Addie Griffin, yourself, Tom Inskeep. Can you just talk about like working with this team? How did that work? How did you work together?
So we had a really good team. I've never been on a team that worked so well together. A lot of times you'll be on a team where maybe only one person's doing the work or people don't get along. But our team just came together. I mean, I was amazed at it. They're, Addie and Lynn and Mutaki are all, I'm sorry, my daughter's rearranging my desk right now. But
Okay.
we did have a here, baby. Look at you see. But we had a great team. So we had this great balance of great trial attorneys that were great speaking and doing courtroom experience. And then I worked well with that team with I have great research and writing skills. So it was a great balance where they had this great skill in the courtroom, and Lynn and I did a lot of the research and writing. So I've never worked on a team of attorneys that just worked so well together. And I think what was great is we all really believed in what we were doing. This wasn't, we just were getting a paycheck and representing someone. We all were passionate about the issues in this case. And I think that made all the difference.
That was so exciting. And all of you were brilliant and just electrifying, and you're, at different times. Hi, Phoebe, Uhuru. So I wanted to just ask you also that you talked about this being a precedent-setting case. Could you just say what is the legal precedent, or just
Sure.
a little bit about that?
Yeah, so right now, under these foreign registration acts, when I say that, the statute we were under was 18 USC 951, and then there's also FARA. So right now, the government can use those statutes. Right now, the precedent apparently from the 11th Circuit is they can target speech with that, which, this isn't just another weapon that the government has to suppress speech that's unfavorable to them, So that's the precedent that's out there right now. And that's why it's all the more important that we get to the Supreme Court and make our own precedent, and at that point it would be binding. So that's the precedent that we're talking about, that we want to set, so the government can't use this as another tool to suppress speech.
Great. I mean, that is really, really exciting. And, we just salute our amazing attorneys for taking this on and keeping the fight up to go all the way to the highest body and to change the law. That is such an exciting, work to do. And we really, really salute on that.
Yeah, and it's a criminal defense attorney. You really don't get the opportunity. This is an amazing opportunity to have that chance to really make a difference. And this is a case that could do it.
Great. Wow. That is so great. And just really appreciate you. Chairman Wasey, I didn't know if you had any questions or if there's any questions in the chat, just for a minute. I know we do have to move on. I can't see the chat. Oh yeah, there is a chat here.
Yes, and
maybe just one or two. I don't know if we have time. I don't know what our time is.
Yeah, if you see questions, I'm trying to see if we have questions, but also I don't know. I know Attorney Rainey, thank you for coming on and for your just your report back, and just the leadership that you have provided. And also we do have Q&A in this program, so if you are able to hang tight, it would be great to have you on, you and Phoebe, your legal assistant, because it's just always helpful to have our attorneys here, and just the amount of time and energy that our, attorneys and our legal team have put into this case. It's just so inspiring. And just one thing the chairman, reminds us is like, it's not a common thing that you attorneys have done and have taken on. And it's just very inspiring. And I know having you all there in the at the appeal and the hearing at the School of Law was really a remarkable opportunity for these law students. And so I just know that this case is so far reaching in more ways than one, and just really want to salute you, comrade. And I'm seeing here from our chat moderator that there's no relevant questions yet. And so perhaps we can, move the agenda, and if you are able to stay on, or we could send you questions to, take back to our base.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Right.
Right on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney
Uhuru.
Angela and Phoebe, the assistant.
Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Thank you, comrades. Uhuru. Wow. Thank you, Chairwoman Penny. And so, yes, we say forward to the Supreme Court, forward to taking this case out there in the world and, just dismantling what the system is trying to do in the question of free speech, but at the same time, building our own narrative, our own anti-colonial free speech movement that will liberate not just the Uhuru 3 and not just those coming under attack, but the whole world. And so salute to everybody who is, a part of this struggle. And as we move in our program, we want to take a moment to salute and, really honor the life and legacy and work of Comrade Ward Churchill, who left us and who died on August 11th, 2026. And we do have some slides and some videos that we'd like to put up to really honor the comrade. One of the things that, we say is Uhuru, which means freedom, because that's what we are fighting for. And Comrade Ward has reminded us of Hoka, which is, let's go, get it done. And so this is a really, important time for us to, make this revolution happen in our lifetime. And just want to salute those who have been a part of that struggle. So Chairwoman Penny is going to, with the help of our AV team, lead us through some of the videos and clips that we have compiled. And if those of you who are listening to the radio or who have an opportunity to check out WBAI, there was a really powerful program on just last night on WBAI. On the program, I want to salute Comrade Sister Betty Davis on What's Happening Radio with the chairman and other comrades in support of Comrade Ward Churchill. So please go back and check that out. You can find that link on the internet, and I'll see if our chat moderators can also get that for you in the chat. But without further ado, we want to salute Comrade Ward Churchill, and I'm going to turn it to you, Chairwoman Penny. Uhuru.
Well, I wanted to play a couple of clips. If our AV people can do that.
No, he has to leave, and I just wanted him to be able to say a few things and to respond to anything you might have for him. Is that all right, Ward?
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Okay, let's do that.
No, I just wanted to say that this was at the, okay.
Yes,
I just wanted to say this was at the hearing just a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta, and it was really powerful to be able to have Ward there, and of course Comrade Natsu, so, and all that she did to to have events and people come and join us in the courtroom. So I just really want to salute him, and I want to play this clip, but I just wanted to say, yeah, that this was just recently, just a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Not okay. Okay. That's, you could say Uhuru in another language. We've been at this how long? And this guy's been at it longer than me. I remember conspiracy trials from the long 60s, the latter part. And interesting thing, all over themselves to get convictions on those, and it was the judges that were preventing it. Now it's turned around. But it's the same process, the same procedure, the same intent, the same, yeah. And the same resistance. Same resistance. Not as pronounced at this point, but this can change. Things come in cycles. Yeah. And in that cycle, there's always the possibility for fundamental change. We defend ourselves by whatever means are available and necessary as it comes, and it always comes. But that's a tactic. We should always remember, winning one of these or winning 10 of these is tactical advantage, tactical necessity. Strategy is another thing altogether. Strategy is how you get out of the box. How you get out of the box. And we have pieces of a clear vision of that, but we don't have the whole thing. In struggle, we gain other pieces. O'Malley, how much have you learned since 1970? Yeah. How much since 1980? Yeah. 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 So those of us who've been at it longer than others, just bequest it to you to carry it on. Take what we learned as best we can remember it and add what you learned. And eventually, well, history will be the study of those boxes, because we'll be in another domain altogether. Another domain altogether. Yeah. Well, okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Ward.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman.
We understand oppression. We understand the difference in experience between peoples. We also understand commonalities of experience between peoples. Peoples in North America and peoples elsewhere. Because of our understanding of the commonalities, we have joined in making expressions of politic with various other peoples, various other movements over the past quarter century. In the late 1960s, there was a slogan which embodied an entire political perspective, U.S. out of Vietnam. And we said, we agree. And we worked in that struggle. And we heard U.S. out of the black community. And we said, we agree. And we worked in that struggle. And we've heard U.S. out of El Salvador. And we say, we agree. U.S. out of Latin America in general, we agree. I'd like to propose to you something that comes from my tradition. U.S. out of North America now. That is the agenda. That is Uhuru.
Uhuru. Those were powerful, powerful clips of Ward Churchill from over the years. And I just wanted to say a couple of things about Ward Churchill and what he meant to the Uhuru movement and to us and to me. And of course, I salute Chairman Omali Shatella and Deputy Chair Onizane Shatella. And the relationship with Ward Churchill was a relationship of the party to the indigenous liberation movement of the US and around the world. And I had the honor of being in the African People's Solidarity Committee under the leadership of the party. And I want to salute also Comrade Professor Natsu Saito, Betty Davis, and others. And I salute, all of Ward's family and community. And we are really honored to be able to salute him tonight, to honor him as a revolutionary academic, an author, activist, speaker, and a dear friend of the Uhuru movement. And we are honored to have known Ward Churchill as a person and know that he lived to change the world, that Ward was a warrior in the battle, the war of ideas, and the battle of the worldviews. And he called it out that it is up to us to continue the struggle and carry on this work for the liberation of indigenous and African people and the oppressed peoples of this planet. And one of Ward's many, many accomplishments was to force the voice and true history of the indigenous people of this hemisphere onto the forefront of the consciousness of the United States, of white people, forced it onto the agenda. Ward documented the profound history and civilization of indigenous people. He has more than 20 books. He documented indigenous people's centuries of brilliant and courageous struggle to maintain their land in the face of the brutal white alien invasion. Ward raised the reality of the genocide of the indigenous people. He popularized the understanding of the indigenous genocide, taking it, as he has described it in his own writings, taking it out of the confines of the Lemkins and the Zionism and those who would say that the murder of millions of white people in Europe by other white people was the only genocide, was the genocide, rather than the reality that 600 years of white slaughter of African and indigenous people is the basis for the social system that we live in. This is what Ward Churchill wrote about, documented, and put out. He wrote, as I said, he wrote over 20 books showing that the entire history of the US has its basis in centuries of slaughter of indigenous people, popular slaughter, that the masses of white people enthusiastically participated in and facilitated. With his relationship with the Uhuru movement and with Chairman Omali Shatella and others, Ward created a working present-day bond between colonized indigenous and colonized African people inside the borders of the US and elsewhere. In his book, and he has many great books, one of the books that made a profound impression on me and us and the Solidarity movement is the book called A Little Matter of Genocide. And in this book, Ward recognized that the 500-year-old genocide of indigenous people is the foundation of, and the ongoing up to now foundation of this system. And Ward also wrote brilliantly and thoroughly about the US government counterinsurgency attacks on the indigenous and African liberation movements in his books, Agents of Repression, which is a very, very incredible book, and the COINTELPRO papers, among others. And these books are not only brilliant, but they're unique in summing up this US government program to target and to attempt to crush the African liberation movement and the American Indian movement and indigenous movements. And Ward also wrote the piece called On Justice of Roosting Chickens after the World Trade Center incidents of 2001, using Malcolm X's words that the chickens are coming home to roost after the assassination of President John Kennedy. And Ward did this by sharply pointing out that many of the countless atrocities perpetrated by the US government throughout history, and for this piece in particular, for the justice of roosting chickens, Ward was fired from his position as professor by the University of Colorado, where he had taught for nearly 30 years. Ward's petition to the Supreme Court, in his time, fought for freedom of speech and academic freedom. Ward Churchill first spoke at the Uhuru Movement Conference Against Racism in October of 1989 in Berkeley, California. And he spoke at many events of the Uhuru Movement throughout the years and was always a very, just very dynamic, electrifying speaker with so much to tell. And audiences and people from the white community just really appreciated him and learned from everything that he brought about. And it is a really deeply emotional thing and very historic that Ward attended the Uhuru 3 oral arguments in Atlanta just a few weeks ago. The state tried to silence Ward Churchill, but it was too late. Ward Churchill has made an indelible historic mark on the struggle for the true history, legacy, and centrality of the indigenous, African, and oppressed peoples of the US and the world. And again, I give my profound solidarity and salute to the memory of Ward Churchill, to Professor Natsu Saitu, and to their family and community. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Thank you, Chairman Penny. Just really want to appreciate and unite with that statement, and long live Comrade Ward Churchill, and long live the struggle for the return of this land to the indigenous people, to its rightful owners, and the anti-colonial revolution, which will be victorious. So thank you, Comrade. Really want to appreciate those words. Yes, Ashe. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, everybody who is still with us on today. We are, in the spirit of, leaders and those who have been on the front lines, we're going to bring up our keynote speaker for today. And before I do that, and I see our comrade is already on and ready, I just want to acknowledge that there are some questions that have come in the chat. And so thank you those who have sent questions. Attorney Angela, we will put those in the program so you can take a look at those questions. There's a few that are directed towards you in terms of the legal front. So we'd like to make sure that you have a chance to look at those beforehand. And also just want to appreciate everybody from where you were tuning in from. We have viewers listening on YouTube, on Facebook, and also here with us in here on Zoom. And so thank you, comrades, for being here. So I want to salute and bring up my leadership and the leader of the African Revolution of the African Nation, Chairman Omali Yeshitela. Chairman Omali Yeshitela is the founder and the leader of the Uhuru movement, founded the African People's Socialist Party in 1972 with the goal to complete the Black Revolution of the 1960s. And for over 50 years, the chairman has been relentless in this struggle to take power from the colonizers and put power back into the hands of the African working class. The chairman is based in St. Louis, where our headquarters is of the African People's Socialist Party, and is leading tremendous work on the ground, bringing concrete realization to the question of Black power. And you can see this work led by Chairman Omali Yeshitela, which is, part of the, theory of African internationalism. It's not just what we say, but it's what we do. And we have a theory of practice that the chairman has, given to us in this lifetime. And so I want to salute the chairman for his leadership over this fight back, over this anti-colonial, struggle and the question of colonialism, the colonial mode of production, which the chairman has been relentless in, bringing to us. This is why you hear this word still today being talked about. People are forced to talk about colonialism because of the chairman's work and his leadership. So, Chairman, we just want to really appreciate you for being on, and want to provide you an opportunity to provide a summation on what has been talked about today, about the Uhuru 3 appeal, what that means for the anti-colonial struggle, and of course, saluting those comrades who were a part of us and who have been a part of this struggle. And just again, Chairman, want to thank you for giving us the courage to fight back, which is why we were able to have this discussion on today. So, Uhuru, Chairman.
Uhuru, I want to express my appreciation to you, Comrade Mwezi, and to everyone who has been responsible for making this really important meeting happen. I want to also recognize the significance of Comrade Ward Churchill. I don't see how we can move forward without doing that, because the struggles that Ward Churchill participated in and his clarity, he brought so much clarity to this question of the oppression and even near extermination of the indigenous peoples, especially throughout the Americas. And it's an important thing that he's done, because the truth of the matter is that when you look at the specifically how the colonial mode of production articulated itself within what we know as the United States, which is a recently created falsification of history in so many different ways. You recognize that it is a country, a state that is founded on stolen land of the indigenous people. The twin pillars that this entity rests upon: the stolen land of the indigenous people and the stolen labor of African people. And I think once we understand this, it becomes clearer to us why this issue of free speech is something that frightens the ruling class here in this country and throughout the whole colonial world so much. It is a ruling class that talks so much about the American experiment that was supposedly brought democracy to the people, all kinds of freedoms, but it is, as it has been characterized by some in the past, including me, the freedom that was won by Europeans who came to this land and took this land was the freedom to oppress. The freedom to oppress the indigenous population, who nobody speaks about that much. That's one of the things that makes Ward so significant. The fact is that it is a freedom that came about as a consequence of the stolen African people who created the economy, not just of this country, but of the world. But our oppression, exploitation, the attack on Africa is the reason that I'm here. So it's a discussion that's not easily tolerated by an entity that has promoted itself as this great provider of freedom and democracy and what have you. Our very existence says something different. And I think it's really important to recognize that. And certainly, increasingly, we are hearing more and more people talking about colonialism, talking about the fact that we are exploited and oppressed. And the reality is that anybody knows that colonialism is simply another form of slavery, and that slavery and freedom is illegal under slavery, and freedom is illegal under colonialism. So we have this interesting kind of situation. When I was a younger person in school, and people talked about things like de jure rights and de facto rights, and And so while on the one hand, there is this thing that's called de jure rights that's existing in law, but there's also de facto, which is the real way that this thing happens in the world factually, how it articulates in the world, how this process articulates itself in the world. And so we have a colonial power that can only maintain its authority over the world through the worst kinds of oppression and exploitation. And this oppression and exploitation violates every principle that they've said that is dear to them in terms of defining what democracy is for the system itself. So Ward was an extraordinarily important force, and he wasn't just that in theory. He had a great affinity for the relationship between Africans and the indigenous peoples here, and he's worked with us, and he's been in the trenches. And so, yes, he's been an extraordinarily important intellectual, but he's been more than just an intellectual. He's been in the trenches. He's lost his job because the stance he's taken. He's been on the reservations when these reservations were under attack by agents. I think we were at the same time on Big Mountain when the federal government. This Big Mountain is a place where the Hopi and Diné indigenous people, Navajo, are located, and we were there together. And when the federal government had discovered uranium, when the uranium had been discovered, and the federal government were planning to attack the people and kick them off of their land to take the uranium, and I was one of the people who that was fortunate enough to be there on Big Mountain, prepared to stand with the indigenous people, recognizing that we were all victims of a colonial mode of production. So I said a lot. I just think it's really important to make this statement saluting Comrade Ward Churchill, because it was more than just a relationship that we had with an individual. It was a relationship that existed between peoples. The fact is that when we were dragged at gunpoint, and I want everybody to remember this and recognize this when we talk about colonialism, that African people are the only people who did not come to this land looking for a better way of life, but we lost a better way of life as a consequence of having been snatched up and brought here at gunpoint. We are here now as a consequence of an attack that was made on Africa. And so it's really an important point for me to make, for us to understand. And we had the only friends that we had here were the indigenous people, the so-called Indians and what have you. So I just wanted to start with that. And I know that's significant part of the time that I would be speaking, but it's necessary because it speaks to everything that we're talking about. It speaks to the delicacy of the question of free speech. It speaks to the fragility of a social system that rests upon a foundation of stolen land, stolen labor, and everything that it has comes as a consequence of that relationship, this configuration of the whole world that we live in today, economically and politically, comes as a consequence of the attack on Africa, the enslavement of African people, and the indigenous peoples throughout the Americas. I think it's also important for us to say that there is a tendency to treat this issue that we're dealing with, because as it's been said already, a court determined, an appellate court, where many of the people in this meeting now, there were so many people. 4 years later, this was a magnificent display of the political significance of this case and how the peoples throughout this country and much of the world recognized it. In fact, we heard from a Japanese fellow who I was in the Philippines participating in an Asian conference dealing with the democratic issues and freedom, etc., and how they discussed this case because of its implications for the struggles of peoples everywhere. And so I think that it's really important for us to recognize also that this tendency exists to treat this question that of our denial of our right to free speech. This question, you know, that the appellate court, in a matter of just a few days, we did not expect to hear from that appellate court for weeks, months. In fact, we expected it would be the end of the year or the beginning sometime of next year before determination was made. We went to before that appellate court on July 22nd. In fact, it was something like almost, a year more since 4 years after the attack that was made on us. And so we did not expect to immediately hear from that court. But it was a matter of days, They ruled against us. And the basis of the argument was that it stemmed from a presumption, it seemed, that we actually had been convicted of being Russian agents, which is not the case at all. But that's how they moved against us. And so they affirmed the conviction. They affirmed this extraordinary conviction because we were convicted of having conspired to not register as a foreign agent for Russia, which was an extraordinary conviction. And we had won the thing that case already. We had won the case that we were not foreign agents, and the jury had found us not guilty for that. But anyway, that's how the court came back. I want to say that it has some important implications. For example, I'm looking now at a rule at the fact that ABC and Disney suing the Federal Communications Commission, alleging attack on the First Amendment rights. This is ABC and Disney. They sued. That was on Tuesday, yesterday, 2 days ago. They sued the Federal Communications Commission in federal court in a case with major First Amendment implications, arguing that the Trump administration has violated its free speech rights by launching investigations and challenging its broadcast license in retaliation for its news coverage, late night satire, and views on talk shows. And ABC and its corporate parent, the Walt Disney Company, alleged that FCC has taken these actions to appease President Trump, who has repeatedly called for the networks to be stripped of its licenses in response to material that has sparked his ire. The point is, here you've got these corporations now complaining attack on their free speech. We haven't heard anything from them around this case. We haven't heard anything from any of these major corporations about the attack on free speech. But let me tell you this. The same court in the same district where we were convicted, with one of the three judges that just ruled against us, in days after that, days before that, they had ruled for us in a case having to do with the radio station that we are associated with in Florida, where the license where resources that have been granted to us, something like $100,000 have been granted because of COVID work. And they didn't like our politic, and they said it. And they took this money back from us, and we filed an appeal to that and went to the same district that we've just come from with one of the same three judges who just ruled against us, and that determination was that it was illegal, that what it is that they had done. So this is a contradiction that they have to resolve for themselves. And we're not trying to solve their problem. But I do want to say this quickly, that we have a tendency to sometimes to simply see these issues in only legal terms, and sometimes in only domestic legal terms. But this is August, and on August 31st, 2001, the United Nations held a conference, a world conference against racism in Durban, South Africa, one that the United States and Israel walked out of, but one that resulted in determination by the United Nations that African people do reparations because of the slavery and the slave trade. And this is something that was followed up in March by a determination by the United Nations that was taken to it by African countries, where that declared that slavery was the worst crime in history, and that the enslavement of African people, and that also it repeated and reaffirmed the statement that came from Durban, that there are no statute of limitations to this crime against humanity that was committed against us, which means that the United States, in legal terms and international law, the United States and the countries that are now imprisoning us, being indicted by the world, have been indicted. They are indicted co-conspirators in terms of what they have done and continue to do. And even this case that we are confronted with now, according to international law, is based on this violation of the rights of African people, the suffering of African people that's already been recognized by the law. So I want to say that I think it's really important for us to understand that, and that in the final analysis, what has to occur, obviously, is that we have to be free from colonialism, and we are holding up August 29th, recognizing the significance of the Durban Declaration. That's on a Saturday. We'll be doing things in various places around the world, recognizing this. We'll be doing it in South Africa. We'll be doing it in West Africa. We'll be doing it in Europe, England, and in France. We'll be doing it in St. Louis, Missouri, and various other places throughout the United States, recognizing the significance of Durban. And the fact that we are owed reparations, and we want reparations, and we are not going to be crawling on our bellies, trying to prove that we are the ones who are the innocents, when the fact of the matter is that the system itself is guilty of oppression and came into existence as a consequence of the attack on African people, the attack on the indigenous people, and the ongoing oppression, exploitation of people in Palestine, people in Venezuela, people throughout the Americas. And so I just wanted to make that statement, and thank you very much for being here. Uhuru.
Uhuru, Chairman, powerful statement and call, to leadership, and for us to unite with this struggle. And I just wanted to go back and just really appreciate, the statements that you made regarding Comrade Ward Churchill, and as you said, this struggle, not just unity between individuals, but amongst people. And that's what, that is what leads and what is at the heart of this movement and this work. And I want to appreciate your call to Durban. We will be there as well here in Southern California, leading mobilizations as well. And we call on others to also join that struggle. And just one other thing the chairman mentioned around the, nature and the character of this ruling, really encourage comrades to read that. It almost felt like another indictment in terms of what the U.S. government is trying to do, with this case. But I just really want to salute our attorneys who really led powerful arguments in that courtroom, and we're on the winning side and we will be victorious. And, because we have a political understanding of the nature of these attacks, we are at this point in this juncture where we can sum it up and where, we can take it back to the people for us to carry out the real work of, completing this revolution. So just want to salute you, Chairman, and your leadership on this question overall, Uhuru.
Uhuru.
And Uhuru, Chairman, Uhuru, comrades. And I want to come back to salute to the Chairman. Thank you, Comrade Virginia. I just want to thank a few people who are on with us, and we're going to open it up for some questions. There are some questions that have come in for our attorney, Angela Rainey, who is able to join us back again. Thank you, comrade, for making the struggle. So I'll be brief here. I just wanted to salute some of the comrades who are on here with us on Zoom, and those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube as well. But I want to salute and appreciate Comrade Nesbitt Crutchfield, who is joining us from Miami, who's with the Miami Coalition to End the Blockade Against Cuba. Salute to Comrade Pete Seidman, who is also in Miami, who has been a longtime supporter of this struggle as well, and who has also linked an article featured about the Uhuru Threes in Los Trabajadores article in Cuba, one of the main press there as well. Salute to Comrade Beth in Michigan, Susan in Boston, Virginia in Louisville. Thank you, Leslie, for tuning in. Want to appreciate Comrade Susan Adley with the National Lawyers Guild, your support and for being here on today. Richard in occupied Hawaii. Thank you, Comrade Shirley, for joining us. Comrade Paul, Comrade Michael D. in Santa Cruz, California. Thank you, comrades, for being here and for just your participation in tonight's webinar. And I really want to just salute our chat moderators who are helping to get.
Just really wanted to salute Audrey Bonzi as well.
Yes,
of the National Lawyers Guild, and I know Comrade Angelica from the Green Party and Anna Kapati and others. Yeah, we really appreciate you for coming on.
Uhuru. Yes, I was just going through the chat, but yes, want to salute those comrades as well. Anna, who came to, who was there with us in Atlanta, and is also, representative in the Cuba Solidarity. Good to see you, Brandy. Thank you, Chairwoman Penny. Comrade Don.
Frank Lawrence.
Yes.
Frank Lawrence, who has been there and so many, just from the beginning, really. It was Don Hammond, Janet Van Fleet. I mean,
Comrade Mariah.
Johan. Yes, Mariah.
Great.
Johan, Joshua, Carpani. Great to see you, comrade. Comrade Kitty. Salute to you, Comrade Kitty. Leon, Leslie, Comrade
Nesbitt.
Mariah.
Nesbitt.
Yes.
So good to see your name. Just so many things that we've been to. You've been there. It's really profound, and just really appreciate all of you are still here almost 4 years later.
Yes. I'm going to name a couple more because I just started and I have to finish a few now. But I want to thank Comrade Mandisi. Thank you for being here, Comrade. Comrade Norman Richmond. Comrade Jalali. Yes.
Jalali, yes.
All the way up in Canada. Great to see you, Comrade. Paul, Comrade Penny, Arcos. Thank you for being here. Rachel. I also want to salute Comrade Sister Afia Wangaza, who is here with us.
Yes.
Comrade attorney, former SNCC member. Really want to salute Comrade Afia, who was also there with us in Atlanta, who has been everywhere, with this struggle, not just for the Uhuru Three, but in this anti-colonial struggle. Thank you, Stephanie, Stephen, Thomas, and Viviana for also being here as well. And if we missed you, we just want to appreciate you, comrades, always.
Virginia.
Uhuru. Yeah, thank you. Say it again, Chairman.
I heard, did Penny say Kenya?
No, I said Virginia.
Virginia, okay.
Uhuru.
And Indigo, of course, is
Indigo, Uhuru.
Yes, and Comrade Kenya, yes, who is also on with us, and SG Alley in St. Louis. So, Uhuru, comrades. I have some questions here. I'd like for us to turn our attention to the Q&A if we can, and while we have the attention of Comrade Angela. So there's 3 questions here that are related to the case in particular. So I'll just go ahead and read them. Have you had a chance to look at them, Angela? I can read them. Yeah, let me read them.
Okay.
I'll just read it for the audience too, but I hope you had a chance to look at them. So Comrade Nesbitt writes here, I have a question for Angela. What is the process of asking for the entire circuit of judges to hear the case? What does that option offer us in terms of dropping the charges? And what's the time interval that we're talking about?
So to ask them to rehear the case, we file a motion and we make arguments to the whole court why this court, those three judges got it wrong, and that we'd like them to hear, everybody hear this. It's we're going to argue it's a big issue that sets a precedent in the circuit that the majority of judges shouldn't be on board with. So they don't have to grant our motion for rehearing. It's completely up to them. Right now, our motion is due next Wednesday, and the government will get a chance to respond to that motion, and then we'll wait and see if it gets granted. And if it gets granted, we could possibly have more argument. So the implications of that, let's say if we were to get rehearing and they ruled in our favor, they definitely have the power to do what that three-judge panel could have done. So they could reverse that conspiracy conviction if that's what they choose to do.
Right on. That's powerful. Thank you. Thank you for that question, Comrade Nesbitt. Thank you for that response, Attorney Angela. There's actually kind of two questions. The third one, I might open it up as well. But this other question comes from Michael Donnelly. He asks, is there a way to read or hear witness testimony from the trial? I would like to write about the case, but I haven't seen or heard very much of the actual testimony. And he did put his email there if you have any information on how to access witness testimony.
Yeah, so there are transcripts available. There's not an audio recording, but I can, those transcripts are public information. I can email those to you if you want.
Uhuru. Great, thank you. And we, I don't know if we have the transcripts on the website, but if not, we'll make sure we get those up there because we do have, we did a reenactment of this case on our YouTube channel following the case based off the transcripts themselves. And so that information should be also available on our website. And so, Michael, we can make sure that you get that as well. There's another question here, and I just want to also appreciate Comrade Ann, who made a comment just saluting the party and the chairman, Comrade Ann, who's all the way in Ecuador. And thank you, Attorney Angela, for answering that question. This one, you may have something to say as well, and I'd like to also open it up and direct it to the chairman. This question is also from Pete Seidman, who's in Miami, in the Cuba Solidarity Front. He asked, what implications do you for this case and anyone else in support? What implications do you or for anyone else in support of freedom struggle? So what implications does this case have for anyone who is in support for freedom struggles? And again, this is opening up to the panel, whether that is Cuba, Sudan. He states this is such an important case for all. Mm-hmm. So maybe Attorney Rainey, if you have any thoughts on that, and then we can open it up. Uhuru.
So right now with the 11th Circuit's ruling, that precedent controls the states in the 11th Circuit. And, beyond that, it's not controlling, but it's really persuasive to those other courts. So it does set a bad precedent what the 11th Circuit has said, as far as any kind of activists, it does limit free speech more. But I will say that if the government didn't have that tool, they would find another tool to use. So I as far as the implications for others involved in the struggle, but you do have to be aware of that law, that even if it is, speech, just being careful of who you're associating with in other countries. And that would be that. But I think, a bigger precedent is we can't forget we had a huge victory in the trial court. And that I think is we beat the main charge. No one ever beats the feds. And I think that sets an amazing precedent, not just because of the legal victories we won, but to really set an example to show that, you can fight this and you can win. And most people don't do that when they're facing a federal indictment. So I think if we look at it that way, it's a good precedent.
Yes. I would like to unite with that statement that was just made by Attorney Angela Rainey. To resist is extraordinarily important. Only reason we're having this discussion right now is because we fought back, because we resisted. I think the feds brag about something like 97% of cases going to federal court result in convictions. And much of that, I know, is due to the fact that when you have the federal government rolling up on you with tanks and with all of the machinery of the federal government and open extortionist position that demands that people surrender their constitutional rights to appear before a jury of peers, etc. If you don't take this deal that we're giving you, we're giving you an opportunity to confess, to take a deal, and this otherwise you're going to get 15, 20 years in prison. Take the deal and you'll just get 5 years in prison. And there are so many people who are locked up. I know this in fact because of this. They've got people to roll over out of fear and willing to surrender, not necessarily willing to do it, but sometimes unwillingly surrendering what's supposed to be the right to a trial of jury of peers. And we were different in the sense that we had an organization. We had extraordinary lawyers. I mean, I can't think of any case that I'm aware of where people walked into a courtroom with this battery of lawyers that we walked in with. These incredible lawyers who, in the process of taking on this case, as Angela said, it was something they were passionate about. And they, I think, became more passionate about. And I think that what became increasingly clear is that we were not guilty of what the government said we were doing. Therefore, we had to come up with a reason of why the government was doing it if we were not guilty of those charges. So I do think that that we can resist. But I also want to remind people that this was a political case. And even the FARA law is a political law. It was founded as a political law. In this case, there's a political case where you had, you just got this guy, Marco Rubio, who was talking about Cuba, for example, being the headquarters of the communist movement of the world. And that there's a suggestion that Iranians and Cubans have sleeper cells inside the United States. And that the suggestion here is anybody who says something that opposes U.S. policy is working for the Cubans, working for the Iranians, etc. So the political basis for attacking and targeting people and terrorizing people, these are real things that I think we have to consider. I really do. And that's to, who was that who raised that question?
That was Pete, Comrade Pete Seidman.
Yeah, Pete, I really think that's kind of stuff we're looking at. That's why organization is critical. Organization is critical. It's a really important thing that we have to take on and not surrendering. I mean, we have to be willing to struggle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just really appreciate that, Chairman. And, you know, just the leadership that you gave to it. I salute our attorneys because you said, I mean, we, you know, as has been said, we were meeting with them almost a year before the trial. And that was a great experience and unusual, even for most attorneys. And that you really grounded the whole fight back in political terms. And the lawyers really were one to that. And I just think that gave them profound insight and a great advantage to, you know, to their brilliance that they already brought to this. So I just salute your leadership in defining this as a political case and, you know, the whole history of that, Uhuru.
And the lawyers were courageous too, because the expectation is to be charged with a political crime. People duck and run from who the hell they are politically. But we had lawyers who walked into a courtroom first. The motion to dismiss that was filed initially for this case ran down everything that we believed in, took pieces from our political platform and what have you, and introduced it to the court. And then we had a situation where a lawyer in the federal courthouse stepped up and threw his fist in the air and went Uhuru 3 times. Uhuru. So you're going to be hearing this, and challenge this whole Russia, 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 Russia thing. And then we had a lawyer, that she said, because we're supposed to be bought, and she says Omali Ishatella cannot be bought. He is a revolutionary, a person of integrity. And this is the kind of stuff that won the case, in terms of a jury not being able to unite with this whole notion that we were somehow working for the Russians. This is part of it. They did other extraordinary things as well. But yeah, we have to resist.
That's really powerful. Yes, Chairman. That reminded me, if comrades have a chance to go back and watch the summation, Comrade Mutaki Akbar, who represented Jesse Neville, he was, kind of talking about some of the processes that the lawyers, the attorneys had coming up to the trial. And, they were like, we're just going to water it down. We got to convince Chairman and them to just water it down. And they said something like right before the trial, they just decided we're just going to tell it like it is. And he said he believes that's what won the case, was, just the political leadership that you provided. It was undeniable. And that was what needed to be the foundation of this fight back. And so I love that, hearing that, and, and we saw that, as Chairwoman Penny said, throughout the, development of this case.
And I was hoping, we were hoping that we were going to play that tonight, but next time we will. That was such a great statement. That's why he had gone to law school. This was the case they went to law school for.
Yeah, really powerful. And so just, salute our courageous, legal team. And to those who are watching and want to do the same, here's your model, and you can do it. When we fight, we win, as we say. And
do you think is there any significance that our lawyers, among our lawyers, we had Jew,
I know,
Muslim, we have white, we have women, you know what I mean? The whole array of forces, international forces, dealing with this this case. I thought it was impactful.
I love that.
Uhuru. Uhuru. Thank you, Chairman, for that. Yes, and there's actually 2 statements that I want to read from the Q&A, and then we can move to close. One of them actually was a question from Comrade Sister Afia, was asking about the impact did the storm have on the Uhuru Black Power Blueprint. And I don't know if there was a recent storm, but I'm also thinking back to the tornado as well. And as we can see, even just the opening of the Uhuru Bakery, and just the work that the Black Power Blueprint has done to mobilize the community in terms of recovering and taking action and, restoring back North St. Louis. I know the comrades on the ground there can speak to, where we are a year later after the tornado that hit in May of 2025. But I just wanted to appreciate that question, because, we look at Katrina, we look at other parts of the world, and the government has done nothing to, correct or to, assist in the recovery efforts, but it's always the people. And so if there's anything that can be said by our comrades.
Let me just say this. I mean, that's somebody who worked more closely with this process than I, but it was extraordinary. I mean, there were hundreds of people who came to the opening of the bakery. Hundreds, literally hundreds of people. They had something like 300 giveaway bags, and they ran out of giveaway bags to the people who attended. Also, we had a situation, and they have this up on their own websites, where the president of the board of alderpersons, this woman, came out and made a statement in support. Just recently, you see it up on her website, supporting the bakery and how much she appreciates it. And this is even after I've gone through the entire thing about the Russia issue being a case. We had another alderperson who brought with him a resolution supporting the bakery. And we had the person who, I've forgotten exactly how she's identified, but she's over the taxes, licensing, and who's really important for what it is, how we're trying to move forward with the radio station that we're involved in as well. And she brought a resolution supporting what we're doing. So, it's incredible, Carmen Afia. And also, yeah, it's just incredible the kind of work that's happened subsequent to that. And in many ways, the work that we do, I think, contributes to people understanding the significance of the Black Power blueprint. I think that the people have suffered local government that allowed a tornado, and I don't know if you were referencing the tornado to strike our community without any warning, because they forgot to press the button or something to that effect. It was a devastating kind of tornado, and but we have strong leadership. A current deputy chair, Onizane Shatella, who has led this project and pulled all the stuff together that I'm bragging about now in terms of politicians and all the persons, et cetera, coming out to salute it. It's just been extraordinary, Sister Afia. And I want to say, Sister Afia, she gets tired of me saying this. I don't even think there's any such thing as a former SNCC member, to tell you the truth. And because I say that SNCC represented that bridge between the anti-racist civil rights movement and the anti-colonial Black Power movement. And Comrade Afia correctly reminds me all the time that there were different factions up inside SNCC and had different views. For example, John Lewis, Good Trouble John Lewis, and being one example of that I see a thumb up around that, but it's not something that I particularly appreciated. But SNCC was, we talk about even the reparations issue. I mean, SNCC, Jim Foreman, in 1969, in Detroit, Michigan, speaking to a Black Economic Development Conference where hundreds of Africans from around the country had come to, had put forth a Black manifesto demanding reparations of $500 million from all of the white churches and synagogues in this country. And a week later, took that same manifesto, which was adopted by that conference, and then a week later took that same manifesto to Riverside Church in New York, and the preacher ran out, and 2/3 of the congregation ran out when he made that. So this is SNCC that we are talking about. And we're talking about reparations and all of this stuff, Durban, et cetera. There's a history here of resistance that I think is really important to recognize that. And so, Comrade Mwezi, you don't have to worry about how you're going to get me to shut up without being offensive. I'm just going to volunteer.
Uhuru Chairman, thank you for that. And I want to correct myself because I should have said SNCC veteran. That's how Comrade Afia, introduced herself in the chat even. And yeah, there's no such thing as that. And just want to appreciate your interventions, Chairman, and Sister Afia for being on. And the last couple of things I'll just read from here before we move to close, comrades, is just a comment from Comrade Jalali, who wrote, Al Prentice, Butchie Carter, and Geronimo Pratt always promoted unity between Africans and Native America. He was wondering if we know if they ever met. And he also mentioned that Comrade Ward Churchill spoke in Toronto several times, and he was very well received. So again, just salute to the comrades and this struggle.
Uhuru.
So yeah, Uhuru. Comrades, we're going to move towards close for tonight, and we want to encourage you to follow Hands Off Uhuru, follow the Burning Spear newspaper, follow the subscribe to the Burning Spear newspaper, get you a copy of this anti-colonial voice of the African working class. Your voice can be a part of the Spear. You can write for the Spear. You can help to distribute the Burning Spear newspaper. These are other reasons why we have come under attack, because we are not afraid to say what is really happening in the world and to sum it up. And I want to salute all the other forces out here who are also, thank you, Carmen, for putting that in the chat, who are also taking the stand in terms of media, on that front as well, to put out, what is happening around the world. So we say Viva Cuba. We say long live the African Revolution. As the chairman says and reminds us, we say we are not retreating. We are building. We just wanted to, before, as we are, leaving, to just remember the life and legacy of Comrade Ward Churchill. We say Uhuru, we say Hoka, and long live, and we will be free in this lifetime, comrades. So Uhuru, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Uhuru.
Uhuru. We are winning.